There's a hut in the mountains where many call in, made of wood slabs and covered in kerosene tin, with character aplenty, yet modest and neat, in a beautiful spot next to 4 Mile Creek. So thank you, Bob Hughes, for the hut you built here. We come to work on it in autumn each year, to fill up the woodshed, do any repair. So it's in good shape, all park users to share.
So my name is Megan Bowden. I'm a ranger with the National Parks working on the hut rebuilding program. And 4 Mile Hut is the 6th hut we're working on rebuilding as one of the 11 huts that unfortunately were lost during the 2020 bushfires. So 4 Mile Hut, it's just about 10 kilometres south of Kiandra in the northern part of Kosciuszko National Park, and it's a pretty special hut as one of the last remaining mining huts in the park. Built by Bob Hughes in 1934. So Bob was a Kiandra resident and miner in the area, and his family was very much associated with the Kiandra. His dad was the skiing mailman of the Kiandra, and his brother was the first authenticated winter crossing from Kiandra down to the Kosciuszko Chalet down in the south. Bob Hughes was a manager actually for the Elaine mine in the next valley over to 4 Mile Hut. And so he was manager for the mine from about 1926 to 1936, and then unfortunately a fire caused the closure of the mine, and he was able to salvage some of the slabs and the corrugated iron from that mine and brought them across, and he was able to build himself a hut as a shelter for his summertime fossicking and rabbiting activities. So Bob left the area in about 1953, and the hut was rediscovered by some walkers and skiers in the area, and then they decided it was in a bit of a dilapidated state, and so they decided they'd start doing some work on maintaining the hut. So people involved in that were people like Paddy Palin, Klaus Hünicke, Riet Verleek, and the Bogong group did their first initial maintenance on the hut. And then later, about 1980, the Nordic Ski Club took on caretaking the hut. So they, like many of the huts in the park, we have over 60 huts in the park, they have a caretaker that's under the umbrella of the Kosciuszko Huts Association, and so they work with National Park staff in maintaining these huts and keeping these huts going for future years.
We walk here in summer, we ski here in snow, safe haven in storms and when southerlies blow. Save many a skier from the wet and the cold, and in this way Bob left us some of his gold. So thank you, Bob Hughes, for the hut you built here. The Nordic Ski Club comes in autumn each year to fill up the woodshed, do any repair. So it's in good shape, all park users to share.
My name's Ian Griffith and I'm a member of the New South Wales Nordic Ski Club, and our club's also part of the Kosciuszko Huts Association, and our group has maintained the old 4 Mile Hut over about 40 years. We've been here approximately the last 10 days. We've been selecting the timber slabs, denailing, planing the edges and adzing the internal face. And just recently the steel frame for the chimney has gone in, and we're setting that in concrete and finishing off the roof on the rebuild. It was never going to be the same. You couldn't replace the old hut. I'm just happy to see a structure out here, and also the old ruin will be maintained, so hopefully the next generation will be able to learn what it was like out here during the gold rush days.
It was a great sort of milestone in my life when I started investigating the history of this hut and chasing up Bob Hughes, who built the hut, and interviewing old-time residents of Kiandra, and it was a little window into another world that I wouldn't have otherwise had in just living a normal life in the suburbs in Sydney. You know, in our investigations we found out that Bob was someone who would help anyone. We found out that he had been awarded a gold medal, and even his family didn't know about it until he died. A gold medal because of the role that he played in bringing a trap drover who was bringing sheep down from Delaney's down to Lobbs Hole in a blizzard. Bob played the major role in that, went out and found him, but never spoke about it. The authorities, the whole society is so grateful, Bob never mentioned it. You know, you just can't help thinking this is a kind of Australian that's just sort of disappearing now. You know, my children have come here, my grandchildren have come here. I've been involved in the maintenance here for about 30 years. And I'm not the only person, nothing unique about this. This is what the huts mean to so many people.
A quiet and modest and solitary man. Bob loved to ride and to fish and to pan. In summer his home was in Kiandra, but every chance he'd mount up, ride out to his hut. So thank you, Bob Hughes, for the hut you built here. We come to work on it in autumn each year, to fill up the woodshed, do any repair. So it's in good shape, all park users to share.
We're about 2/3 of the way through the rebuild of this hut, so we've still got to finish putting the strips of metal on the hut over the slabs, and we've got to dress the timbers with fire retardant, and then put the floor in and put the stove back in, and then we'll also try and make some furniture and things as well, similar to what was in the original hut. I don't think we're quite going to be able to find the explosives box, which was found by earlier walkers. There used to be a box of gelignite still under the bunk, but we'll get something pretty similar. We were lucky to have builders on the program that were worked on some of the other huts. So we had Roger Rosenboom and Peter Dow who'd been on the program. So we looked at photos of the original hut, and we've tried to make the hut look similar in the shape, size and form, similar to what it looked like, but we've used steel subframes for the less maintenance. So it's actually steel and concrete in the ground, which will mean we don't have to replace the timbers in the ground as such. So maintenance-wise, it'll be a lot easier to look after. But yes, we've also added those fire retardant features, like using timber defence, and we've made little ventilation holes but put steel mesh over them from a fire protection point of view. And yes, it's great to see this one nearly completed, ready for the opening in a couple of weeks' time.
Kind of unbelievable. It's wonderful, that's all. My name's Kosciuszko, and this is the opening of the second version of 4 Mile Hut. My heart's popping out. It's full of love for this hut. It got me going with the whole of my writing and photography back in 1975. About the time that it burnt down, I wrote a book just about 4 Mile Hut called The Life of a Mountain Hut. And I got to know a lot of the connectedness between this hut, the Elaine Mine, the Lorna Dune, life in Kiandra, Broken Dam, the grazing era, the gold mining. It kind of became a whole story, and all the bits of it, including this hut, were all interconnected. I don't know, over the years, I uncovered more and more layers, and it touched me very deeply. The spirit of this hut continues, and that was very important to me. I thought something special had gone on here. I guess the more you know about a place, well, it grows on you. It just grew and grew and grew. So here it is. Here I am today.
Thanks so much for coming, and as I said before, having you here today is why we do it. It's just so good having you guys here. We had family descendants of Bob Hughes. Rodney Fifield from Adelong was able to get all the Hughes family together. Oh, look at that! Wow! Please tell me, so Bob Hughes won this?
Yep, They had a horse race at the ski carnival up here in 1909.
Yes.
First race they drew. The second race they drew. The third race the other fella just beat him. So they decided to give them that in notorious riding.
Oh, wow. As well as we had the Ken Barnett, who was a grandson of the manager of old Elaine Mine. So it was fantastic having all the families together, as well as the many people who've been involved with the hut since then. So from early caretakers, from the Bogon group to the modern caretakers in the Nordic Ski Club who came along to help. So it was fantastic to have so many people there who were pretty passionate about the hut. There were many stories of people who were associated with skiing and walking to the hut that weren't with us then, and in particular Bob Guy, who helped a lot with the caretaking of the huts and me in earlier hut programs. And he was a wonderful musician. He used to be a part of the veranda band that used to come and play at the end of hut work parties, and it was wonderful to hear him singing and playing the guitar and other instruments. And but yeah, he very much loved the huts, and he was able to. He was one of his first I think his first overnight ski trip was into 4 Mile Hut, so he was pretty passionate. So unfortunately he couldn't, he passed away, he couldn't be with us, but we feel he lived on in the hut.
So just take a moment if you happen to call and thank Bob whose photo is up on the wall for the gem that he's left us, the hut we hold dear. Take in the spirits of place you find here. So thank you Bob Hughes for the hut you built here. The Nordic Ski Club comes in autumn each year to fill up the woodshed, do any repair. So it's in good shape, all park users to share. So thank you Bob Hughes for the hut you built here. We come to work on it in autumn each year to fill up the woodshed, do any repair. So it's in good shape, all park users to share.